Hello, hello. This is Adelai Brown, your heart coach, and I want to welcome you to the HeartLine Podcast, our weekly podcast where our heart tribe comes in from all over the world so we can come together and master our hearts so that we can master our lives. I am so thankful about today. This is a big topic that I often get questions about. This is something that I work with my clients extensively on. And this week, someone asked me the question, and I said, you know what? Shout out to my marketing director. She said, you know what? That's what we're talking about this week. So the topic is why don't you trust yourself? How authenticity will upgrade your life. Well, let's just get started by just I'm going to tell a little bit about my story. So, I realized how growing up, I had a great childhood. I came from a very loving family. And one of the things that I remember from being a kid was like I was really close to my grandfather. I was really close to my grandmother. I had a very close relationship with like some of my aunts and uncles. And I just remember being a little kid and having a lot more confidence. Like I remember I'm talking about being really small. And I remember as I got older and I remember how I processed how people responded to me and how my relationships were with those that I love the most, i.e., my mother, my father, my auntie, one of my mom's older sisters, some of my cousins. I realized that that little confident 3, 4 year old girl, by the time I was like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, I was not confident. I was not really trusting myself. And I think about that because after doing years of hard work and really trying to get to the bottom of where is this imposter syndrome coming from? Why do I struggle with this feeling of inadequacy and insecurity? And in doing that work, I realized through my formative years, there were things that took place that caused me not to trust myself, and I wasn't trusting myself. So I did things that went against what I felt to be true. Can you relate to that? And because I went against things that I didn't feel to be true, I found myself in situations where I was people pleasing. I found myself in situations where I was getting caught up in confusion and you say, I say, because I didn't know which side to go with. Who should I be communicating with? Because remember now, I, you know, am struggling with that confidence of being able to trust myself. And I often talk to a lot of my clients, and it's like, you're mad about your relationship and where you are, right? You and your lover might be in a space right now where y'all don't feel very loving, where y'all don't feel that connection. And a lot of it is due to the lack of trust. And trust isn't always dealing with infidelity, it's not always about this person cheating on you or not being honest with you in regards to monogamy in your relationship together. But what I found, as I was highlighting earlier, is that many of us are very distrusting, mistrusting of other people because we don't trust ourselves. And we have to get to the bottom of why we don't trust ourselves if we're going to live an authentic life, because you're living the life that you're living right now in regards to how much you trust yourself. How much you trust yourself, how much you trust God has everything to do with the steps that you're taking every day. It matters. It really matters. With that being said, I want you to understand that you're living in an authentic way is not just some haphazard choice that you're going to make. If you want to be fulfilled in your relationships, if you want to get the most out of your connections with other people and places and things, you have to get to a place that you're being authentic. The only way you can be authentic is if you begin to trust yourself. And you have to confront the situations that took place in your life that caused you not to trust yourself. which is why I started off talking about how when I was a little girl, I was really confident. But as I got older, that confidence began to wane because the people and the situations that I had put my trust in weren't as comforting, weren't as trustworthy. Like I can remember being with my oldest aunt and feeling like, I don't know if she likes me. Now, for a little kid, now I know she had things going on in her life, whatever might have been going on. But at the time, 5, 6, 7 years old, when you have an adult being sarcastic, speaking harshly towards you, responding in a way that it doesn't seem kind and doesn't seem nurturing, even if it's a loving rebuke, I started to think, what's wrong with me? Why is she acting like this with me? Why does she act like this with me and not with other people? And I highlight this because you might be in a situation where you're not trusting yourself and you don't believe in yourself and you don't really understand why, but you know that you're feeling the consequences of it, right? You keep going into these relationships that you get burnt out and people are taking advantage of you, and you have to show them not to play with you and show them who they're dealing with after you've been mistreated, abused, taken advantage of over the course of however long, months, years, decades. But I want to talk with you about how do we even prevent ourselves from being in these draining, unhealthy, dysfunctional relationships. Like I just created a 6 habit guide, and you can get this guide in the description below the video. But there's a 6 hidden habits, guys. Like, what are the 6 hidden habits that are secretly causing you to struggle in your personal relationships? And dealing with this, it has a lot to do with it. Like you don't realize that you got the degrees, you checking off the boxes, you stacking your paper, you making your money, but you have not stopped to address the fact that you don't trust yourself. And you know why you don't trust yourself? Because you know all the lies you've told yourself. You know all the times you went along with something when you know you shouldn't have done it. You know all the times you sat still, folded your hands when you knew you were supposed to get up and take action. All the times that you got out there and did too much when you knew you needed to chill out and be still. And because you know you didn't listen to yourself, you weren't truthful with yourself, you weren't honest with yourself, it's really hard for you to believe that other people will be honest with you. It's really hard for you to believe that other people are going to keep it real with you. You know why? This is why you're so skeptical. This right here is why you don't believe in people. You have issues with connecting with people. Yeah, you do it on the surface. But when the rubber meets the road and it's time to make some things happen, you always find an excuse to disconnect. Why? Because you know you can't trust you. And so you're struggling with, can you trust others? Are others going to be trustworthy on the level that I am? And if that's the case, I don't want to get in that relationship because you know you're not being trustworthy towards yourself. Forget other people keeping it real with you. Okay, your mom might not have been there. Maybe your father wasn't nurturing and there for you emotionally in your life. I talk in my book, Help Save Me from My Broken Heart, Your Journey to Living and Loving Again. In this book, I talk about how much I didn't trust my mother, how much I didn't trust my father, and how that impacted me. But what I had to realize in doing this heart work and going through this heart cubator process, I had to realize that yes, my mother may have done what she did. My father may have done what he did. But at this point in life, I'm doing it to myself. I am doing it to myself. I'm not being honest with me. I'm not being truthful towards me. I'm not telling myself the truth. I'm going along to get along. I'm staying in relationships that I feel suffocated in because I don't want to ruffle feathers, or I'm unsure of what the outcome will be. So I will stay here in fear and anxiety and worry instead of getting out and going out into the unknown and doing that new thing because that's what God is calling me to do. No, I didn't do that. Why? Because I wasn't being real. When you're not telling the truth and you're being dishonest, you're being fake. You're being inauthentic. You are not doing yourself or anybody around you any justice. We want people to be fair. We want people to be equitable. We want people to treat us right. It starts from within. You know all the sneaky things you've done. You know all the backdoor, backbiting habits and actions that you've taken place in, that you participated in and have taken place in your life. You know about all of that. And that's why you don't trust people. You know all the times you said you were okay and you were not. You know all the times you told people you don't mind doing it and you did. And because of that, your life has taken on a image, has taken on an energy that you don't like. But the thing about it is, the only way it's going to change is if you decide to change. So I want to help you with that. You don't trust yourself. You don't trust yourself because you've committed to being artificial. We talk about artificial intelligence. We see sometimes on some of the food that we may purchase, you can see where it says natural and artificially created, natural ingredients and artificial ingredients. I don't want it. If it's artificial, it wasn't designed to be good for me in the sense of what I'm eating. You have to get to the point. You have to get to the point where you no longer want to operate artificially and you decide that you want to be natural. But let me tell you something. The Bible tells us that we must be in the world, but not of the world. And I know whether you believe in the Bible or not, that's neither here or there. I welcome you into the Heart Tribe. This podcast is for you if you want to live an authentic life, if you want to master your emotions, master how you respond to those, especially those that you have struggled the most with dealing with. If you want to master pursuing your goals and pursuing your dreams, then this is the place for you. You have to master your heart. You have to know why you're doing what you're doing. And the Bible tells us that we must be in the world, but not of the world. And when I think about that and I think about us living authentically and what it means to live authentic, it means that I realize that I might be neighbors to all these people that have these things going on. But as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. Like, we're going to do something different. It's just like when you were growing up. I don't know if you had a parent like mine, but I would say things like, well, my friends get to go and do this. My friends get to go and do that. Their mom let them go there. Their mom let them do that. My mom would always say, well, that's their mom and that's their house. And this is our home and this is my house and we're going to do it my way. And the truth of the matter is, where you are in your life right now, you have to take on that mentality. That's what it means to be in the world, but not of the world. Yes, the culture says there's a war between men and women. The culture says you could just do whatever you want to do because you only have one life to live. But the truth of the matter is, you have to be accountable for your actions. For every action, there's a reaction. Like, you will reap what you sow. If you plant orange seeds, you're not going to get apples. You're not going to get grapes. You're not going to get kiwis. You're going to get oranges. Are you ready for the oranges in your life? And even that, you're going to get oranges. And those oranges are going to get squeezed at some point. And you have to be willing to embrace and acknowledge all of the orange that you are. You don't go out here wishing to be an apple. You don't go out here wishing to be a banana. You must embrace the fact that you are an orange and you show up in the world as an orange. That's what it means to be in the world, but not of the world, especially those of us that are believers in Christ. But even if you're not, you were created for a divine, unique purpose. Right? Your divine, unique purpose is authentic to you. It might not be unique to everyone around you, but nobody can do what you do, the way you do it, how you do it, when you do it, in all of your fullness. But if you're too busy trying to be like your favorite influencer, your favorite content creator, you think you need to look like the model that you admire watching. No, you can use them for ideas, but at the end and for inspiration, but at the end of the day, you have to embrace you. So today I'm going to give you five, five, the 5 C's of how to live authentic. These are the 5 C's of how to live authentic. So if you want to upgrade your life, if you really want to upgrade your life, if you want to improve the quality of your relationships, if you want to improve your finances, if you want to improve how you feel when you wake up in the morning, these 5 C's are going to help you. These are tangible tools that you can use right now and begin to apply and start to see changes in your life. So the first C is you have to connect. If you're going to be authentic and start telling yourself the truth, if you're going to start trusting yourself, that's the only way you're going to be authentic. And if you're going to trust yourself, you have to connect. You have to connect to your source. It's just like I gave you all an example before. If you have a charger, like I don't have a charger cord by me right now. My phone is charged, but if you have a charger, like this phone can need to be charged. But if I don't connect a charger to this phone, I can have a charger right here. Let's say this pen is my charger. I can have this charger. I can have this phone. This phone has the ability to charge, right? This phone has the ability to charge, but it needs to be connected to its power source in order for it to charge to be able to do the work it needs to do. A big reason why you're not able to tell yourself the truth and you've been living a very draining, stressful, inauthentic life is because you're not connected. Connected to who? Connected to what? Connected to God. Connected to Christ, connected to your higher power. We out here listening to all of these new age things, and you could just manifest this and make this happen. And don't get me wrong, I believe in the power of your words. I do believe that we speak things into existence in my way of understanding it. But one thing that I'm very clear on is that the universe doesn't do anything for me. The God that I serve created the universe, and the universe has to answer to his command. And when I connect to Christ, when I connect to this higher power, when I get still, when you say, well, what do you mean by connect? I go to church or I go to church and it didn't work for me. No, I'm going to tell you what I mean by connect. I mean, get still. You always got the phone going. You always got a TV on. You always listening to music and listening to something. When do you get still and just listen to God? When do you listen to your breath? Listen to the birds chirping. Listen to the wind rustling through the trees and rustling through the grass. That's how you get connected. Do some grounding. Walk outside barefoot in a safe environment. Some of you are like, ooh, I can never do that. That's why you're so disconnected. That's why you're not living an authentic life. Because you have gotten so disconnected from your essence and your source. Get back to nature. Start journaling. These are some tangible things that I work through my clients with and our students as we go through the Heart Beta and Heart Equity University. Like, we really work through this. What is your stillness practice like? How often do you pray? How do you pray? Do you practice deep breathing and meditation habits? Are you journaling? These are all things that are critical and foundational in having a healthy relationship with yourself. These are critical in you being authentic in every area of your life. This is critical in you telling yourself the truth. You have been so disconnected from your source. that you can't tell yourself the truth. You can't embrace the truth. Like, you're still out here saying things about yourself that are blatant lies. It's so real. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, I don't have enough money. Oh, people like me don't do stuff like that. You know, the family that I came from, you know, I've already been through this. I'm already divorced, or we on our way out. It seems like every time I take 2 steps forward, I'm 2 steps back. You need to get connected. People don't love me the way I love them. People aren't there for me the way I'm there for them. I'm just tired. I'm just tired. And the truth of the matter is, you're tired because your battery is dying. It's time to get a charge. It's time to get connected. So this first step in how to live authentic, you have to connect. Tangible steps to connecting: get still. Develop some type of prayer, meditation, breathing practices. Begin to journal. What are your authentic thoughts? What are your truthful thoughts? Not the thoughts you think you should have. I often hear people say, I know I shouldn't think like this. It is what it is. That's how you think. That's how you think. And until you can acknowledge the truth of how you think, your connection helps you find your destination. Excuse me. Connection helps you find your location. You need to know your current location if you're going to get to your future destination. So if you're going to live authentic, if you're going to transform your life, if you're going to begin to trust yourself and those you love the most, because this is the thing, there are people around you that you want to trust. There are people around you that you are pushing away from you. Your hard demeanor, your independence, your sarcasm, your slick tongue, your attitude, your elusiveness is pushing you further away from the thing that you say you need and want the most. So when you get connected, then you start to find yourself getting closer and having more room and more capacity to experience the love and the relationships that you desire the way you desire them. So the first thing you want to do when you live in authentic is you want to connect. Connect to your source. Connect to the one that created you so you could know what is desired of you, so you can move in that path of authenticity and truth and freedom. Now, the second thing you want to do, this is how you live authentic. After you connect, that connection brings about clarity. See, the problem is, if you've ever seen like been at the beach or at a lake and you stir up, or even like in school when you're doing like a science project and they have you like use the like a soda bottle and turn it into like a cyclone so you could kind of get an understanding of how a cyclone can start. But even if you've ever played at like a lake shore or a beach shore and you have the water that's coming in, if you ever start stirring the waters, splashing the waters, it gets really cloudy. It's kicking up all the sand and dirt at the beginning, at the bottom of the at the floor of the lake or at the beach or whatever, the sand that's under your feet. And the more you stir it up, the less clear it is. But the minute you start to allow it to settle, you start to gain more clarity. So if you're going to live authentically, you need to get connected, because as you develop and strengthen your connection with God and your connection with Christ, what happens is now you start to gain more clarity. You start to find your location. So it's like you have this ultimate destination you want to get to. You want to be in this loving relationship where you could just express yourself and know that whoever you're being vulnerable with is going to love you and return that love in return. You want to be confident. You want to get out there and spread your message and spread your purpose, but you haven't been able to do that because right now you don't even know what that is. You don't know why you've been put here. You know you're good at some things, but you really struggle with, is that what God has called me to do? Is that why I was put on earth? If so, why is this so hard? Why does this seem so confusing? Can I tell you something? You need to get connected so you can get clarity. What is clarity? A self-awareness. Awareness. When you begin to gain clarity in your life, it's like you start to notice what's going on around you. Many of us live very tunnel vision, one track mind. That's our way of living. Our periphery is very off. That's what self-consciousness will do to you. That's when you're insecure. That's when you think everybody's talking about you, everybody's looking at you, everybody's whispering about you. That's self-consciousness. But self-awareness is when you say, I notice that every time my mother calls me, I get an attitude. I notice that every time someone talks about fathers, I get sad. I notice that when I see people posting on social media about their children doing good in school, I feel very intimidated and afraid because my children aren't doing as good in school. That's what self-awareness is. Self-consciousness, in contrast, would be, everybody's doing better than me. They got a better job than me. Their business is doing better than me. Like, you're aware that something is going on around you, but the way that you see it is off. So how do you live authentic? You gain clarity. How do you gain clarity? You need to get connected. And as you're connecting, then you start to gain that awareness, that self-awareness. You start to release self-consciousness and embrace self-awareness. So for me personally, what that looked like for me was I was very insecure as a parent. I was a teen mother. I had my daughter at 18 and 5 days old. And in my heart, I felt like I should be better than this. I should be doing better than this. If I was an all A student and I was in the gifted and talented program and I was the only Black girl in many of my classes, and the expectations were high for me to do well because I was so smart. I could be a doctor or I could be a lawyer because I got good grades, right? That conditioning that we go through, this achieving mentality, it so much goes against trusting yourself. Because when you're trying to achieve, when you're trying to reach someone else's expectations, you're being inauthentic. If your expectations and your purpose doesn't align, if their expectations don't align with your purpose and expectations, when you pursue their expectations, you're being fake. And when you do stuff like that, you're not trusting yourself. You're being self-conscious. You're not being self-aware. But contrastly, when you become self-aware, you can set a boundary and say, you know what? I used to think that getting that degree was going to make me more important. However, I realized that it's not so much about getting the degree. I'm looking to do something that validates who I am right now because I look like such a failure in my own eyes. Because I got pregnant before I was married. I got pregnant before I had anything going for myself. And it brought a lot of guilt and shame. And so I had to be aware. I used to be very self-conscious about being a teen mom. And that self-conscious behavior brought about performance. And then when I started to gain clarity after getting connected, and I started to be more aware, I was more clear on why I was doing that, why I was feeling like that. And that matters, because the only way you're going to get a change, here again, back to the GPS, the GPS will reroute you. Even when traffic is bad. So the GPS can give you a route, but as you're traveling, depending on what GPS you use, when it knows your location, it will reroute you in real time. And that's what this process of living authentic does. It reroutes you in real time. So you might have woke up this morning with some plans, but when you get connected and you start to gain clarity, that's going to change your plans. You're going to start to ask yourself questions like, why am I doing this? Clarity brings about questions like, why do I feel this way? You start to get more curious about yourself versus being so condemning towards yourself. The other piece of clarity is it brings about acceptance. Not only do you become aware, but you can start to accept the truth of what you've become aware of because you don't have to hide it. You don't have to fake. Like I had to accept the fact that, yes, I was a teen mom. And yes, I did not pursue the goals. Like I had dreams of going in the Air Force. I was going to go in the Air Force for a couple of years. I was going to retire out of there. I was going to go to school. I was going to use the Air Force to travel the world and become a nurse that works on hearts. I'm still traveling the world. I'm still nursing hearts. It just didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. I can say that joyfully now, but years ago, I was still beating myself up about that. And because I had not forgiven myself, and we're going to get there, I was living very inauthentic because anytime something reminded me of that bad decision I made, self-conscious, instead of me leaning into that discomfort, I would try to put on another performance. Let me go try to get another certification. Let me go try to get another job where I can make more money. Anything to avoid feeling that feeling of discomfort, of shame, of guilt. So if you're going to live authentic, you need to, one, make the connection. You got to get connected with Christ. Number two, that connection brings about clarity. You have to be open to clarity. You have to open your heart and your mind's eye to receive clarity. Number three, you're going to have to confront the lie. You're going to have to confront the lie you've been telling yourself about you and those around you. Like I was saying earlier, when I was a little girl and I was wondering, why is my auntie being so mean to me? Like, why is she acting like that with me? And as a child, I did not have the wherewithal to understand that hurting people hurt people. And she's an adult. And right now, she's not in a good situation. So, my expectations of her being able to be there for me mentally, emotionally, spiritually, those expectations weren't met, but it doesn't mean that something wrong happened. I established those expectations. I didn't know any better. As I got older, I had to start to confront these insecurities. I became aware that I still had a lot of issues from being a teen mom. I became aware that growing up as a child, even though my friends and classmates' memories of me might not have been that I was insecure, may not have been that I didn't trust myself or believe in myself, but I had to confront the fact that I felt like that. And I had to confront that because I felt so insecure and inadequate, I played small. I remember vividly, I made the varsity basketball team in ninth grade. I played that season and never played basketball again in high school. I just committed to working. And I didn't think much about that then, but as I started doing my work, there was a day I got really sad when I thought about the fact, because what happened was my oldest daughter was playing basketball and she was going into, like, she started playing varsity her sophomore year through her senior year, and she was doing really good. And I was already, that was the beginning of like the heart coaching journey. And I was just going through the motions, doing my work, going through this heart incubator process. And I got to this point where I accepted the fact that my past was my past, but then I realized, man, I got to confront the fact that I never forgave myself for giving up on myself. I quit playing basketball because back then I said, I don't have time for that. I have to work. I don't have time to be doing that. I have to work. But I can honestly say now that I quit playing basketball because that was a cry for attention from my mother, from my aunts, from my uncles, because they made such a big deal about me in sports, and they always compared me to my mom and my uncle, my mom's brother. And they would say, you remind me of your mom when she was in basketball. Your mom was one of the best point guards. I grew up hearing those stories. But by the time I got to high school, my mom and I were not in a good space. We were at odds for pretty much the majority of my high school years. And when my 10th grade year came around, I didn't try out. Now, I didn't say anything about it. I just was like, I don't want to play. But really what it was, my big brother had graduated from high school. Me and him went to school together my 9th grade year. He played varsity basketball, so was I. So that was exciting. But the next year he went off to college, and my mother and I felt very alone. I felt very disconnected because my mother and I weren't in a good space. I was in a very unhealthy relationship as a teenager. It was lovingly dysfunctional. And I really stopped playing basketball because it really was a cry for help. Like, I wanted my mother's attention. I wanted her to tell me, no, you're going to play because that's what you're going to do. But she never did that. I wanted her to care. And I thought that by her making me play or insisting that I play, that was her way of showing me that she cared. And then when she didn't do it, I just quit. And of course I said, oh, I quit because I don't want to do it. And I quit because of all, I need to work and I need to make money. But I was looking for somebody to care about me more than I was caring about myself at that time. I took a deep breath. I want you to take one too, because if you're going to live authentic, you have to confront those blocks. You have to confront those sticks in your tire, those roadblocks that you will come up against. I didn't realize how much pain and trauma I had from not playing basketball in high school until 18 years later when I was there cheering my daughter on. And I remember, I think it was my daughter's last game, and I was upset with her about something. And I didn't go. And I said, well, I'm not going because my youngest son does not like going to anybody's games. He's just not into organized sports like that at all. And I remember I didn't go to her last game. And I did it because I was being mean. Like I said, I'm staying home with Chris because we need a babysitter. But my child needed me at that game. And I didn't go. And they lost the game. And the team that they lost to ended up making it really far in the playoffs. And they really wasn't that much better than them. And when I didn't go to my daughter's game, it hurt. It hurt bad because I chose to do it because I didn't want to confront the triggers that I was experiencing at that time. I had to forgive myself from my past. And instead of forgiving myself in that moment, I repeated the cycle. I wasn't being authentic. If I was being authentic, I would have went to that game. But I was putting up my defense mechanism. How many times have you done that? When you could take the low road, but you don't want to expose yourself. You don't want to make yourself vulnerable because you don't know how people gonna make you feel. When I didn't go to her game, I was upset with her. I was feeling like, like I'm here for you and you're not appreciating me. She 18 years old. She don't know no better. Life had to deal with her. And I was being triggered from my past because I felt like my mama wasn't there for me the way I'm there for my daughter. And it's almost like my daughter got to pay because I'm there for her more than my mama was there for me. That's unfair. That's also inauthentic. That's being fake. And I also wasn't being trustworthy. I was not being emotionally a safe space for my child. I wasn't an emotional safe space for myself. But in order for me to live authentic, guess what? I got to acknowledge that. I have to confront that. And forgiveness is all about confrontation. You got to confront that lie in your life. That's why you get connected. That's why you gain clarity, so that confrontation can take place. That's why a lot of people don't want to do their hard work. This is the place where when my clients start, I tell them all the time at the beginning of the process, listen, we're gonna do good the first week or two, but after that, you're gonna be mad at me for a couple weeks. Why? Because we're gaining clarity and we're confronting some things, and it's uncomfortable because you've made a life, you've committed to avoiding these things. And me not showing up for my child at her game forced me to confront the pain that I still had from my teenage years. It's basketball. Who cares? That's what I was thinking. That's what I convinced myself mentally, but my heart knew different. The Bible talks about, what is it? Out of the heart flows the issues of life. Out of the heart, the mouth speaks. Like you hear people say, a drunk man speaks a sober mind. Why? A lot of people have to be under the influence of anything else other than the influence of their authentic self in order for them to start to tell how they really feel. I wanted you to forgive yourself for all the times you told yourself you were okay and you told other people you were okay when you knew it was a lie. I want you to forgive yourself for all the times that you just weren't truthful about where you are and what you got going on in your life. I want you to forgive yourself for all the times it felt good for you to experience pain. You went along with it because it felt good, but it was hurting you on the inside. You got to forgive yourself. If you're going to live authentically, you cannot get past the confrontation piece. And I can tell you, for years, I wanted to avoid confrontation. I was one of those people, right? I would go along to get along. I'll tell you I'm okay when I'm not okay, all because I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I didn't want to tell you the truth because I was afraid of losing you and the connection that we had. And I really gleaned on the strength from other people because I did not trust myself. And the problem is, the more you do that, the longer you do that, the more you're at odds within yourself. So you might be there for everybody around you. They love it. You're making their life way more convenient, but you're slowly dying on the inside. And then what happens is you get to the point where you can't take no more, and then you blow up. And then everybody's like, well, what's wrong with her? And why is she acting so crazy? I don't know what's wrong with her. Really? But maybe they don't know what's wrong with me. And it's really not their job to figure out what's wrong with me. And me flipping out and getting angry is not a great way of showing my authenticity. But what is me exposing myself early on. The Bible tells us in Revelation 12 and 11, they overcame him, meaning the enemy, by the blood of the Lamb and the words of their testimony. Matter of fact, let me read it. I feel like it's very fitting to read that. If you're going to live an authentic life, that authenticity first starts with you and your story and where you are. A lot of times we don't like to tell the truth because we know how much that's going to make those we love very uncomfortable, and it's going to put them in a compromising situation. And that's how we got there. When you start to shift and get in position and start living authentic, it's going to make a lot of people around you uncomfortable because they've gotten comfortable in your discomfort. But you taught them to treat you like that. And if you're going to live authentically, you're going to have to teach them how to treat you a new way. Let me read the scripture. Revelation 12:11 says, And I'm reading out the Amplified version. It says, excuse me, and they overcame and conquered him because of the blood of the Lamb and because of the word of their testimony. For they did not love their life and renounce their faith, even when faced with death. For they did not love their life and renounce their faith, even when faced with death. Let me tell you something. When you start to confront those demons, those things that have hurt you, those secrets that you tried to sweep up under the rug, sweep up under the mattress, sweep up under the alcohol, sweep up under the drinking, sweep up under the working, sweep up under the shopping, sweep up under the overeating, sweep up under the promiscuity, wherever you sweep it, because we like to pick and choose what vice is better than the other. We like to zero in on, people who are addicts, drug and alcohol, when we don't realize you can be an addict for church, you can be an addict for work, you can be an addict for shopping, you can be an addict for cleaning, you can be an addict for perfection. All of that because you don't want to confront the pain. You don't want to confront the fact that, yes, like for me, yes, my father wasn't there and I had to forgive him, but I also had to forgive myself for all the years I missed out on life for being angry at him. I wasted a lot of prime time in my life in being angry. And I had to forgive myself for such a waste of time. And I had to forgive those people who touched me inappropriately. And I had to forgive those people who talked behind my back. I had to forgive myself when I was the one talking behind people's back and I felt guilty about it because those memories still haunted me as well. Let's talk about it. This is how you live authentically. Yes. Shout out to you, Tamara. Yes. Distractions from confronting yourself. If you're going to live authentically, yourself have to be in the front. You put God in you. God, you. God, and then you see yourself through the lens of what God says about you. That's when you can start to tell the truth. You overcome by your testimony. If you keep your story to yourself and keep your watered down version of it, if you out here trying to make yourself look so good, you ain't telling the truth. I'm not saying you need to go out here and put all your skeletons out your closet. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is when you tell the truth, you shame the devil. So you got to confront. Let me keep moving because we got 2 more seeds to go. So how you going to live authentically and upgrade your life? Yes, you can. This is the reason why I'm talking to you about this, and I'm going to keep talking about this. This is why we have our master's class this September the 29th. For the VIP, it's from 10 to 12. For general admission, it's from 11 to 12. But the reason we're doing this master class, and we're going to do it every month, the reason the Heart Equity University is being launched is because we have gotten so accustomed to lying to ourselves that you really think you being authentic and you're not. It's like layers to this thing. And if you can think about peeling back the layers of an onion, that's what you're doing with your identity right now. Because you really thought you were someone or something else. Because that's what the people called you. And that's what those people said about you. And that's how this person treated you or not treated you or neglected you or abandoned you or rejected you. And whether you like to be honest about it or not, you embraced an identity that is outside of who God said you are. And I can tell you that because you're not taking action every day towards the things that God is calling you to. Like me doing this podcast, let me be clear. I have gotten caught up in the numbers and am I doing this right? I don't know because I don't know about the views and all. I've been through that. I'm past that. I am on a mission. I am on a mission to build heart equity. What is heart equity? Personal, relational, and financial wealth through authentic living. Oh, we see a lot of people building other types of equity. But I'm talking about heart equity. This is the type of stuff that's going to save you and help you. This is the type of stuff that's going to help you transform not just your life, but your destiny, your legacy, the lives of those around you. When I started doing my work, it not only transformed my life, it transformed the lives of those around me. My mother, my father, those closest to me. A lot of things started to transform. But I thought I was being authentic back when I was pursuing being a nurse, being a therapist. Nothing wrong with that. That was not what God wanted for me. But I was looking for the validation from the world. And if you're going to live an authentic life, you got to get serious about who you're looking for validation from. That right there is a sign of what kind of life you live in, if it's authentic or not. Who you trying to prove something to? Who are you speaking to? Who are you concerned about? These are the things we deal with when we talk about living authentically. And why? Let's deal with the why. So we connect to live authentically and up-level our lives. First, we have to connect. From connection, it brings about clarity. From clarity, it helps us realize who or what we need to confront. And as a result of that confrontation, now we're able to, the fourth C is create something new. Isaiah 42 says, behold, I am doing a new thing. Shall you not know it? Let me read that real quick. I just feel like some people need to remember. Some people just need to really remember that God is doing a new thing. Why can't I'm about to say acting like I can't find Isaiah? Isaiah 43:18. That's the amplified version of the Bible, and it reads, do not remember the former things or ponder things of the past. Listen carefully. I am about to do a new thing. Now it will spring forth. Will you not be aware of it? Excuse me. I will even put a road in the wilderness, rivers in the desert. What does that mean? When you begin to live authentically, after you have connected, gained clarity, started to confront those areas that are holding you back. Now, the fourth thing you start to do is you create something new. You get a chance to choose something new. And in those choices, you make a decision. When you decide, that means that you cut off what was going on before and head in another direction. It's like you driving to a stop. It's not a four-way stop. It's a one-way stop. You can go left or you can go right, but you're going to have to choose. If you're going to live authentically and upgrade your life, you're going to have to be willing to make a decision and create the new life you desire. The life you're currently living is based on an old identity. You are not that person. You are not that thing. You're not. You're not that thing. And because of that, this is the thing. You're not that thing. And so you have to be willing to create and be open to this new beginning in your life. And that could be scary for a lot of us, because the truth of the matter is you might not like where you are, but it's convenient and it's familiar. It's just like people say, I'm tired of eating the same thing over and over and over again, but you're not choosing to create a new meal. Are you going to create a new appetite, a new diet for yourself? Are you going to create a new path, a new trajectory? God has, I've been studying more about this and learning more about this. And in Genesis 1, in the beginning, it was God, and we were made in his image. And the whole idea is God is a spirit, and those that worship him must worship in spirit and truth. So it wasn't so much about us being made in the physical image of God, as our spirits represent creation and creators. We were all designed to be creators. Everybody's a content creator, whether you're doing it on social media or not. You were created. That sperm and that egg came together to create you because there was something that nobody else in the past, present, or future can do the way you can do it. And we need you to make a decision to let that out into the earth. That's what authenticity is about. Look, Five Guys is selling French fries and burgers, just like McDonald's is selling French fries and burgers. They both selling French fries and burgers every day. You have to choose to create. Sometimes we get so caught up in being unique that we miss out on when you're authentic. That's as unique as you're going to get. So it might be burgers and fries, and you might be doing burgers and fries, but my burgers and fries are a little different than your burgers and fries because I'm being authentic to the way I'm supposed to make them. Like Chick-fil-A, their fries don't look like anybody else's fries. Neither does Checkers, but let's be honest, nobody's fries really taste the same. Nobody's burgers taste the same. But all these fast food restaurants are cooking burgers and fries. What am I saying? If you're going to live authentically, you have to make a decision to authentically create. You have to be willing to lay new track, new pavement on this road called life. And that takes courage. That takes consistency. That takes honesty and truthfulness. But it's important that you do it. Your creation is nothing like anyone else has ever done or will ever do. And the more you're willing to connect and continuously gain clarity from that connection, let that clarity allow you to confront the areas that are cloudy, that have not been clear, that you have not been honest. And in that, create a new life. Then we get our fifth C and how to live authentically and uplive your life. Then you're in position to collaborate. Yes, creation brings about collaboration. When you create, you're being godlike. And then what happens is God can collaborate with you. How does God collaborate with me? Send help, send guidance, send support. When you commit to creating, God can collaborate with your mission and your vision and help it come to pass. That's how I feel about the Heart Equity Masterclass. That's how I feel like this Saturday I'm speaking at an event, Maya's Peace, Navigating Grief and Loss. These are prayers that I've been praying, that I want to be in place, that I want to serve in areas that are meaningful. I don't want to just do things just to do things. I don't want to be an attention whore, for lack of a better term. It's the truth. But I do want to be consistent with putting myself out there. I do have a mission that needs to be shared, but I'm going to be intentional about how I share that mission. And see, what I have found is when you connect, it brings clarity. That clarity allows you to confront the sticks in your tire. It allows you to confront your inefficiencies, your deficiencies. You can confront the giants in your life and move them out the way so that you can begin to create a new life. And the beautiful thing about creation, it's going to cause you to multiply. And that way you collaborate. The Bible tells us one can move 1,000, but two can move 10,000. Not 2,000. One can move 1,000, two can move 10,000. When you live authentically, it makes it so much easier to collaborate. It's hard to work with other people when you don't get along well with yourself. Or you wonder why your partnerships never work out. You wonder why you just can't get it together. You don't like you. So it's understandable that you don't get along well with other people, or you get along well with them as long as it's on the surface, as long as they keep their distance. But when you live authentically, it makes you more vulnerable. Then more they're going. I'm not saying more people are going to get in your personal space, but you're going to have to open up more to expose your creations and be able to collaborate. It's important. I just want you to understand that the minute you start to tell yourself the truth and you start to trust yourself, your world is going to change. I have to, like, I'm in a season right now in us, this heart equity movement and making more heart connections. I'm trusting myself more than ever before. And trusting myself, you know what it looks like? Slowing down, doing less, collaborating with less people, but making more meaningful collaborations. I'm creating with a more intense focus. I'm able to quickly confront things that need to be confronted. And let me tell you another thing. When we talk about confrontation, it's not about you always picking up the phone telling somebody how they made you feel. A lot of times you need to confront that thing with you and God in your time of connection. You see how these steps work together? That confrontation came from clarity. I can I can confront things once I'm clear on them. If I'm not clear on it, I can't confront it. That's why you in that unhealthy relationship. You're not connected, so you don't have clarity. So you don't have clarity, so what are you going to confront? And if you can't confront anything, then you can't create something new. So what happens? You just stay in this toxic cycle. It's time for you to make a shift. And I promise you, I'm here to help and support you. So remember, remember. You haven't been trusting yourself because you're not telling yourself the truth. And even when you tell yourself the truth, you're not taking action that matches your authentic self. You have to commit to living authentic. And as highlighted in this podcast today, the 5 C's of you living authentic, you got to connect. You have to seek clarity, which involves improving your self awareness, not self consciousness, and acceptance. Then you have to confront, meaning you're going to have to forgive yourself and others. Then you create. You're going to make a decision to live another life. You're going to create a new path, a new journey. It's really not even new. You're creating a path back to who you've always been from the beginning, a path back to your essence. And as you do that, God in his infinite wisdom allows you to collaborate with your authentic self and those around you that are attracted to your authenticity and not your fakeness, not your being artificial, not your agent, right? Not your representative. It's okay to have an agent and a representative, but not for your authentic self. Maybe for your business, maybe for your career, but you have to always show up and speak up for you. When you're living authentic, it doesn't always feel good, but it's the best thing for you. And when you struggle with living authenticity, that in authenticity, that's when you get a chance to really confront, like you get a chance to gain clarity and start to confront those areas. Why am I struggling with telling the truth? My body is clearly telling me I'm unhappy and I don't like this, but why am I still going along and telling them, yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I can handle that. Yeah, I can pick your child up from school. No, you can't. You tired. Yeah, I'll show up at your event. No, you had planned on taking that day off so you can relax and rejuvenate yourself. No, I'm not upset with you. I understand you did the best you could with what you had. And I'm still angry and upset with you for how you did me. I understand, Mama. You did the best you could do. But that does not negate the fact that I'm still upset about the fact that you didn't love me. You didn't hug me. You didn't tell me you loved me when you were little. I understand you didn't get that as a child. That's why you didn't give it to me. But that still doesn't take away from the fact that I'm hurting because of that. I have trouble trusting people because I didn't feel like I could trust you as a child. And it doesn't mean your parents have to fix it, but you do have to be authentic in your expression. If you want people to keep it real with you, you're going to have to keep it real with yourself. And then others will follow suit. That's all I got for y'all today. This was good. I hope that this was helpful. I'm so excited about the HeartLine podcast. This season 2 has been amazing. We've had some amazing guests. We've had some amazing one-on-one pods. I'm so thankful for you all and your support. Shout out to Tamara. Thank you for being here, and all of you that are here live. Those of you that are catching the replay, remember to like, comment, and subscribe and share and all of that great stuff. Remember to register for the Heart Equity Master Class. What are we doing at this master class? You're going to gain clarity on who you are and where you are in your life, and use that clarity to create a new life. And we're going to be attacking some of these tough topics in these master classes. When the Heart Cubator launches again this fall, those students that enroll in this program, you can really experience some true amazing transformation in your life, authentic transformation. Trust me, this not just going to affect you. This going to affect everybody connected to you, directly or indirectly. I can promise you that. So you make sure wherever you are, you get connected to the Heart Equity Movement. You get connected to the Heart Tribe. You stay connected with me and Heart Connections. Wherever you find yourself in that process, I just want you to know that I'm committed to supporting you to master your heart so that you can master your life. And I invite you to commit to the same. So information is in the description. I love y'all so much. Thank y'all for being here. It means so much to have y'all. Words can't describe. If you want to support the movement, there's links in here below the page. If you want to click and support to spread this message so we can get the Heart Equity Movement out all over the universe, let's do it. But whatever we do, remember, let's stay committed to mastering our heart so that we can master our lives. I love y'all. I will see you next Monday at 12 noon. Have a wonderful day. Remember, tell yourself the truth. That's how you're going to up-level every other area of your life. Begin with you. Tell yourself the truth. I love y'all. This is Adelai Brown, your heart coach, signing out.